Welcome to the Inner Engineering program. This is not a moral class for you. This is not about teaching values and ethics to you. This is not a philosophy either, nor is it a teaching. This is a method, this is a technology. This is something that you just learn to use. This is a very subtle process of self-transformation. This is an experiential process. This is not something that you try to learn, remember. This is something that you experience and make it a part of yourself. So there are a few things that are necessary for you to make use of this program.
Please make use of the following guidelines to optimize your receptivity and derive maximum benefit from the course. Dedicate the next 1.5 hours exclusively for this purpose. If you have children or pets who might interrupt you, please ensure they are taken care of for the duration of the session. Please turn off your cell phone and avoid texting or checking it during the session. It is not recommended to sit with a full stomach or immediately after a meal. You may tend to feel drowsy. Being somewhat hungry or on a light stomach condition is optimal. Before the session, it is conducive to have a tepid or cool shower. It need not be ice cold. It is best to avoid any interruptions or distractions, like getting up, eating, drinking, or going to the restroom. You may pause the video and take care of these things now before you continue. We recommend that you use headphones for an optimal experience. Sit with your spine comfortably erect. Use a comfortable backrest, but no headrest. Hands uncrossed and palms open.
Please sit with your hands open, palms facing upward, with your spine comfortably erect, and close your eyes. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, relax into this exhalation. Take one more deep breath, and as you exhale, relax even more into this exhalation. Take another deep breath, and as you exhale, relax completely into this one. Please say this after me.
Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Please open your eyes.
This moment, the way it is, it's inevitable. The way it is the way it is. It cannot be any other way than the way it is right now. This moment is inevitable. This is a moment-to-moment awareness. You cannot make knowledge out of it. Oh, I know moments are inevitable. Moments are not inevitable. Only this one is inevitable. Is the next one inevitable? Next one is a million possibilities. If you are aware, consciously positive, dynamic acceptance of what is there right now, happiness is the only way you can be. There is no other way to be, because happiness is not an occasion. Happiness is a constant state of existence. This moment is the only doorway, both to the creation and the creator. The rest is just hallucination. Your ideas of past and future. Your past is just memory, future is just imagination. If you are in the reality is only this moment. If you're accepting what is there right now, that is the end of suffering. There can be no suffering in that human being. If you accept this moment just the way it is, everything becomes a part of you. If your acceptance is total, you can experience the whole existence as yourself. If you're rooted in this moment, if you're accepting what is there right now, to be at ease is very natural. To simply know the joy of simply sitting here with ease, just being at ease. Most human beings do not know what it means to simply sit here with ease. Something is wrong all the time, just to simply sit here, just sitting here. This never happens. All the time, trying to get somewhere. You cannot go anywhere. You'll only be in this moment. Do what you want. You'll only be in this moment. You can think about yesterday, you can think about tomorrow, you can think a million years ahead, but you're still doing it only in this moment. If you're aware, being in this inevitable moment, I am thinking about tomorrow, that's not a problem. Now people are telling you, do not think about tomorrow, do not think about yesterday. If you do not think about tomorrow, life is going to batter you up one day. No? It's going to really batter you up badly. You better think about tomorrow. Thinking about tomorrow is not the problem. Trying to live tomorrow is the problem. The problem is not with reality. The problem is with the hallucinatory nature of your mind. If you grasp reality the way it is, you can handle it to the best of your ability, and that's all there is. If I accept this, will it change? No. Whether you accept it or you do not accept it, that's the way it is. But if you accept it, you are free from it. That's a big thing. Your experience of it has changed. That is the big thing. Whatever you accept always becomes a part of you. Whatever you resist sticks out in front of you like a big hurdle. You know, when I was at the university, even I went. They couldn't educate me though. So when I was at the university, there is another boy who's all skin and bones. So someone told him,
you join NCC. NCC means National Cadet Corps. In India, the universities have National Cadet Corps, you have paramilitary training. So someone told him, you join NCC, they will give you good exercise, in the end they give you good food. You need it, you're all bones. So this boy went and joined up in NCC. After a few months of this, they took them on a camp. These NCC camps are like mock army camps. So this boy is given sanitary duty. So he is required to carry this rifle. NCC always gets the army reject rifles. You know those 303 Lee Enfields? Very heavy rifles. And he took it like this. He's supposed to walk up and down near the gate 6 hours a day. He couldn't carry it. He took it like this, he couldn't carry it. If he carries it, it feels like his arm is coming loose. So he went to the NCC commandant and he said, "Sir, I cannot carry this rifle. This is too heavy for me." The NCC commandant did a wonderful job for this boy. He just stared at him. "But sir, look at me, sir, how I am. I really cannot carry this rifle. It's too heavy." The NCC commandant said nothing, he just stared at him. Then he said, "Sir, give me any other work, anything in this camp I'll do. I cannot do this sanitary duty." The commandant just stared at him. Then the boy scaled down his demand. He said, "Okay, sir, if you insist I must do sanitary duty, I will take a stick and do it. This rifle is too heavy and the damn thing doesn't have a trigger. And no enemy is going to come. After all, if something comes, it's just cows. I'll use a stick." The commandant said nothing. "Sir, please, sir," he begged. He held him by the shirt, shook him like this and asked, "What is this?" "Uniform, sir." "Once you're in this uniform, you're a soldier. Why are you carrying this rifle? This is a part of you, you go." This just got into this boy. He went with the rifle, walked up and down 6 hours. After 6 hours are over, even the strongest boys in the camp, they want to throw this damn thing. They hate the rifle because it doesn't have a trigger. But this boy is carrying this rifle and walking all over the place. Suddenly it's become a part of him. And now there's no problem. Anything you accept becomes a part of you. Just look at this. Even for one moment, if you experience something as a part of myself, there is a different kind of harmony in you. There is a different kind of attunement to life around you that you don't have to be told how to be. If your acceptance is total, you will experience the whole existence as a part of yourself. Now, I am a part of this existence is logically correct. The existence being a part of me is logically impossible, isn't it? Yes, it is logically impossible, but that's the truth. As you are a part of the existence, existence is also a part of you. As a drop is a part of the ocean is also a part of the drop. Because time and space is not an absolute, it is a stretchable thing. You can stretch this or you can contract this. Today modern physics is telling you, your ideas of time and space are completely distorted. In yoga, we always say, you can pack the whole creation into a mustard seed. If you want, you can roll up all the galaxies and pack it into your mustard seed. So what you know as time and space is the creation of your logical mind. If you transcend the limitations of your logic, you also transcend the limitations of time and space. If you are an absolute acceptance, absolute acceptance, not that you're accepting, you have become acceptance, then everything is here and now. Just everything is here and now. There is no here and there for you. There is no now and then for you. Everything is here and now. So is this some kind of magical thing? No, this is the reality that's always on. Once you have come here as a human being, if you do not experience the universality of who you are, the boundlessness of who you are, I would say human form has gone waste upon you. Because to eat, sleep, reproduce and die, you do not need this kind of body, this kind of intelligence, this kind of awareness. This is not needed. This is a real nuisance. For eating, sleeping, reproducing, this intelligence, this awareness is actually a big nuisance, isn't it? Isn't it so? It raises a question about everything. If you had come like any other creature, without raising a single question, you could have done those things every day of your life. Now for everything this raises a question and complicates things, isn't it? So this intelligence, this awareness, this form has come with a different possibility. If that possibility is not explored, if that possibility is not realized, human form has gone waste upon you. And this is not a simple form. This is the most sophisticated form in the existence that we know of, isn't it? So acceptance is not some kind of a formula. Acceptance is not a theory. This is the very basis of creation, because it is in the lap of this moment that creation is happening. Whenever suffering touches you, whenever pain enters your life, these thoughts will come to you. Why me? Of all the people in the world, why me? Even my neighbor didn't get it. Why me? Yes, these thoughts will come, isn't it? Why you? Why your life is the way it is? Why your body is the way it is? Why your mind is the way it is? Why everything about you is the way it is right now? If I take a seed, put it in the soil, the seed becomes a plant, the plant becomes a tree, the tree becomes a flower, the flower becomes a fruit, the fruit in turn becomes a seed. Winter becomes spring, spring becomes summer, summer becomes autumn, autumn becomes winter once again. The planet is going around the sun, the whole solar system is moving, whole galaxies are moving. Incredible amount of activity is happening both on the animate and inanimate level of life. All this activity, does it seem to be happening accidentally, or does it seem to be happening to some kind of a system and a rhythm? some kind of a rhythm. Maybe you're not able to figure out what is the rhythm, what is the system, but for sure it's not happening accidentally. There is some kind of system. When everything in the existence, animate and inanimate, is functioning to a certain system and a rhythm, is it possible that your life alone could be happening accidentally? Everything in this physical existence is happening between cause and effect. Right now, you're either enjoying the effect or suffering the effect. But without a cause, can there be an effect? You might have become short-sighted, that you're unable to see the cause of it. But without a cause, there cannot be an effect, isn't it? If we have to understand why everything about you is the way it is, why you are the way you are, why your life is the way it is, we first of all have to have some understanding as to what it means when we say body, what it means when we say mind. This body is an ongoing process. It is a system in process. Though in your experience it may be like a solid thing, in your experience it may be an absolute quantity, but actually it is an ongoing process, isn't it? If you do not eat for 3 days, you certainly know this is a process which needs to be kept up. If you stop one aspect of the process, the others will slowly stop too. What you call as mind is also an ongoing process. This has been looked at and expressed in so many different ways. Every enlightened being has said something about it. Almost every scripture says something about it. But right now, we will look at it the way Gautama looked at it. Why we are choosing Gautama the Buddha is not because he is more enlightened than others, simply because his expression is more clinical, more scientific, more logical than most other expressions. There have been many other yogis and mystics who are far more exuberant than Gautama. Their expression is far richer than Gautama's. But we are choosing Gautama, the Buddha, because he's clinical. He is more of a scientist than a saint. Today you have become like this, that unless it's logical, you are not going to be receptive to it. You are sitting here, you are with me right now, not because you experience who I am, simply because I am making logical sense to you. It's an extremely poor way of being with me. If you can keep your logic down and just be with me, I'll have you blowing. But right now, this is all that's possible. Only because I'm making logical sense to you, you're sitting here. But we will choose Gautama because he is more of a scientist than a saint. And today, you have an appeal for science as you know it. It's a very limited way of looking at life, but we'll go this way. Gautama starts looking at his body in his awareness. He describes the different organs in the body, how they function. Then he goes further and he says, my body is made up of cells. Mind you, this is 2,500 years ago. No microscope. He says, my body is made up of cells. He goes further and he talks about the 72,000 pathways of energy in the system. In great detail, he speaks about how, by mastering different pathways, what are all the things you can attain in your life. Now, he's not the first one to talk about these things. Any number of people have spoken about these things. It is just that their expression was very different, generally poetic. Whenever any big experience happens within you, poetry is always the succor, isn't it? Suppose you fall in love with somebody, you start writing poetry, because if you write it in prose, it sounds utterly stupid, isn't it? You write it in poetry, suddenly it's beautiful. If you want to say something which is illogical, poetry is always the way, isn't it? So, most mystics and sages always express themselves in poetry. Almost every scripture on the planet is in the poetic form. If you say Gita, the word Gita means a song. It is to be recited. Whether it's Guru Granth or the Quran or the Bible, all these things are poetic expressions. Because any time if somebody had a big experience, poetry is always the easiest way to express. Patanjali and Gautama the Buddha are two people who significantly refused to find expression in poetry, and they express themselves in the form of sutras. A sutra means it is like a formula. So their whole teaching is a bunch of formulae. They made spiritual sciences almost like physical sciences. Now, 2 parts of hydrogen, 1 part of oxygen, if you put it together, water will come. If a great scientist puts it together, only water will come. If a fool puts it together, only water will come. So, they made it into the form of formula and said, you sit like this, you breathe like this, you do this and this will happen to you. If you are a great sage, that's what will happen to you. If you are an ignorant person, that's what will happen to you. So they made the subjective sciences almost like physical sciences. So these two have been the two most successful spiritual processes on the planet. They have produced the maximum number of enlightened beings and continue to produce enlightened beings on the planet, or the yogic system and the Buddhist way of life. These two have produced the maximum number of enlightened beings, because the expression is logical and clinical. So Gautama is not the first one to find expression. Actually, if you look at Patanjali's work, just about anything that can ever be said about life has been said by this man. He did not leave anything for us to say. It's actually unfair. Because you realize whatever you want and you want to find expression to it, and you find this man has already said it. You search the nook and corner of your consciousness to come up with something new, but this man has already said it. He did not leave anything for anybody to say. Very cruel man. So, Gautama starts looking and he starts expressing various dimensions of the body, and he goes down to the fundamentals and he says, my body is made up of Anu. You know what Anu means? An atom. He's talking about an atom 2,500 years ago. He's not the first one again. Rigveda, many thousands of years before him, talks about Anu. But Gautama went one step further. He splits the atom and talks about subatomic particles. There was no word to describe a subatomic particle in any given language at that time, so he coined his own new word. He called the subatomic particles as Atkalpas. Atkalpa means 8 kalpas or 8 aspects or 8 elements. Do you know what are the 5 elements in nature? Why are you starting with fire? Earth, wind, water, fire and space. These are 5 elements in nature. But Gautama is talking about 8 elements. Where did the 8 come from? Because he is referring to the body, he discounts the space and he's taken 4. These 4 elements have found unique manifestation in every subatomic particle in the existence. So he says 4 plus 4 qualities. 4 plus 4, he says there are 8 aspects. And what he says about this Atkalpa or the subatomic particle is, by the time I wink my eyes once, all the subatomic particles in my body are appearing and disappearing millions of times. Or in other words, what he is saying is, by the time I wink my eyes once, this body is appearing and disappearing millions of times. Please, you pinch yourself and see, is your body appearing and disappearing? Please check. Appearing and disappearing. Is it here or is it appearing and disappearing? Please pinch yourself and see. Oh, what nonsense. Why will my body appear and disappear? My body is here. But Gautama says, his body is appearing and disappearing millions of times. If there was a ceiling fan here, and if this fan is going 1,000,000 times faster than its normal speed, and let's say you have never seen a stationary fan in your life, if you look at it, what does it seem like? Like a plate is hanging there, isn't it? I come by and tell you, this is not a plate, these are just 3 wings, lot of empty space in between. Would you believe me? Seeing is believing, isn't it? You see a plate hanging there, it must be a plate. But now you know, with all this inner engineering, you have become a little open-minded. You're willing to experiment. You take a stone and you throw it. If there are empty spaces, it should go through. If it's a plate, it should bounce back. What will happen? It will bounce back. If it's going at a tremendous speed, even if you shoot a bullet, it'll bounce back. Now your eyes tell you it's a plate, your experiment proves to you it's a plate. But does it become a plate? Still there are empty spaces, but not in your perception. Similarly, your body is appearing and disappearing millions of times every second, but it's not in your perception. You do not have much trust in Gautama anyway. the year 1968, a certain professor from the University of Berkeley was awarded a Nobel Prize because he devised a certain instrument which he appropriately named as the bubble chamber. The purpose of the bubble chamber was to measure how many times a subatomic particle appears and disappears in a given second. He actually measured it and he said, all the subatomic particles in the existence are appearing and disappearing, one followed by 21 zeros, whatever that number is. That many times, everything in the existence is appearing and disappearing. This is, in many ways, is the experimental proof for Einstein's theory of relativity. Einstein only mathematically deduced that existence is relative. It is a bubble chamber which sort of proves that it actually is so. So the whole existence, everything that you perceive, including your body, is appearing and disappearing, one followed by 21 zeros per second. Every second, that many times it's appearing and disappearing. Once he perceived this, from that day, Gautama's teaching became Anitya, 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 Anitya. Anitya means impermanent, impermanent. This only seems to be there, not really there. Your body only seems to be there, not really there. Not just your body, the whole existence, everything that you're experiencing through five senses. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch, only seems to be there, not really there. This is not philosophy, this is modern science. No more in question. He's done with the physicality. He has touched the ultimate nature of what physical is. So he starts exploring the nature of his mind. Your mind can be looked at in two different ways. One is in terms of layers of mind, another is in terms of parts of mind. First of all, we will look at the layers of the mind. Today the modern psychology talks about 4 layers to your mind: conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind, and collective unconsciousness. Conscious mind is the mind that you're employing to do almost everything that you're doing. Almost everything that human beings have done on this planet have come from conscious mind. But this conscious mind accounts for less than 2% of your actual mind. Your conscious mind is a thin veneer, it's a thin film over the mind. If this 2% is capable of doing so much, can you imagine the remaining 98%? What it could be? Another 2 to 3% is subconscious mind. Sometimes in your dream situations, you might have been aware of your subconscious mind. It might have so happened early morning when you are half awake, the alarm has gone off or the drum is beating, but you're still floating between sleep and wakefulness. In such a situation, meaningless dreams may be going on in your mind. And it so happened you just saw you were walking on the street, your friend came, she was wearing a blue dress, she came to you and said something. Tomorrow you're walking on the street, the same friend, the same blue dress, she came and said the same thing. Has it happened to you? At least you heard it happen to somebody else. Sometimes in your dream condition, if you happen to touch the subconscious mind, these things might have happened to you because time and space is the making of your conscious mind. Once you transcend the limitations of your conscious mind, what is here is there, what is there is here, what is now is then, what is then is now. It gets all garbled and mixed up. But this subconscious mind accounts for another 2 to 3% of your mind. The remaining 95% of the mind is unconscious, it never comes into your access. But it is the nature of the unconscious mind which determines the nature of your subconscious and your conscious mind. Suppose right now I ask you to visualize a tree, and you see the stem, you see the branches, you see the leaves, you see the flowers, you see the fruits. So the most significant aspect of the tree is not in your normal perception, which is the root. It is the quality of the root which decides the quality of the tree, but that's not in your normal perception. So it is the quality of the unconscious mind which determines the quality of your conscious and subconscious minds. But the unconscious is never in your access. If you go deep enough into your unconscious mind, there is something called as collective unconsciousness. What this means is, if you go deep enough into your mind, there is no such thing as your mind and my mind. There is only one mind. Mind you, this is not philosophy, this is modern psychology saying this. Gautama talks about 7 layers to the mind. Today modern psychiatrists and psychologists are admitting there is much more to the mind, but they do not know how to open the doors. Even this collective unconsciousness is something that was studied under drug-induced conditions. Carl Jung made a serious study of collective unconsciousness in drug-induced conditions, but now they know there are many more things, but they do not know how to open these doors. Gautama talks about 7 layers to the mind. There was another person who was Gautama's contemporary, his name was Kaivalya Prabhupada. Kaivalya talks about 70,000 layers to the mind. Gautama agrees with him. He says, why 70,000? There are even more. But for the sake of study, I will make it into 7. You see why the man became popular? His marketing is good. 70,000 layers. Any of you willing to come and study? 7. You come. Gautama dives into his unconsciousness and starts describing the nature of his unconscious. He says, before this, I was this kind of a person. Before that, I was that kind of a person. Before that, I was that kind of a person. Like this, he describes hundreds of lifetimes in great detail. He goes further and he says, before that I was this kind of an animal. Before that I was that kind of an animal. Like this he describes thousands of animal forms. And then he says, when I started, I was a single-celled animal. You remember your high school friend amoeba? He is talking about an amoeba 2,500 years ago. There are no electron microscopes. Just with his eyes closed, looking at the nature of his unconscious mind, he is saying, I started as a single-celled animal. I have been through these thousands of animal forms and human forms. Here I am sitting as a Buddha. But the minds of all these animals and humans are still within me, in my unconscious. Unless I become free from this, there is no freedom for me. Mind you, Gautama is saying that there is no freedom for him after his enlightenment. What to say about your freedom? Your freedom is a joke. It is like Shankaran Pillai's freedom. On a certain day, Shankaran Pillai went to the bar to drink with his friends. He was having a drink. Suddenly the clock struck 8. Dang, 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 dang. Halfway through the drink, he kept the drink down, got up and started walking towards the door. His friends said, hey, why are you going away like this? What is the problem? At least finish the drink and go. But Shankaran Pillai kept walking towards the door. Then the friends said, we know what's your problem. You are leaving because it is 8 o'clock? You're afraid of your wife? That's why you're going home. What kind of a man are you? Are you a man or a mouse? They asked. Shankaran Pillai stopped, turned around and said, I am the man in my house. If I was a mouse, my wife would be afraid of me. Women are always afraid of mice. Who is afraid of a man anyway? Man has a deep fear about the woman. If I say this to a man, when he's feeling like a man, when he's really feeling like a man, if I tell a man, you have a deep fear about the woman, he'll say, what, me? Afraid of a woman, I'll slap her. Why the need to slap has come? Somewhere there is a very deep fear about the woman. If a woman is really an inferior being, just leave her alone, anyway she will be inferior. No, you can't leave her alone. Somewhere there is a problem in this whole thing. What is it that brings this fear? If you look at this in detail, you will see now that we're in India. You know Manu? Manu claims to be the lawgiver for Hindus. He is an upstart who came in between. Otherwise, this was the only culture, not probably. In the whole world, this was the only culture where men and women lived on par in every way. Why this is so is because the culture was so steeped in spiritual process. See, the question of who is a man, who is a woman arises in you only if you're too focused on the body, isn't it? Yes? If body is an important aspect, okay, this is male, this is female, becomes an important thing. But if a culture is moving towards a spiritual dimension, slowly you start forgetting who is a man, who is a woman. So, this society was leveled. Men and women existed without much distinction. But then the invaders came. When the invaders came, the first thing they laid their hands upon is your wife and your daughter. So to save them, they put the women folk into the grainages, underground grainages, right up to here in grain, with a basket, with a bushel thrown over. You know this is an Indian trick? You know this? So throw a basket. So the woman is buried in grain till here, and she has a basket over her head. It's casually thrown basket, but she can breathe and stay there and protect herself. So generation after generation, invaders kept coming. After 2-3 generations, people's mindset became like that. Where should a woman be? Underground. Initially this started as a way to protect her. Slowly it became a way of exploiting her. Then Manu came up, and Manu declared, there is no salvation for a woman. A woman cannot go to heaven. What are you looking? You cannot go to heaven. When Manu says that's the law, but why does anybody wants to go to heaven? The Hindu heaven is full of beautiful women. You heard of them? Rambe, Urvashi, Menake, you heard of them? How these women got there, nobody knows. If you carefully look at all the heavens on this planet, doesn't matter which culture, you can clearly see these heavens were concocted in a perverted man's mind. There is no question about it. Heaven is full of man's pleasures. Is there anything for a woman in the heaven? No. Exaggerated versions of pleasure for man. All the things that he could not fulfill here is available in heaven for him. So he wants to go, let him go. What are you going to do there? You stay here and have a good time. So why this fear about the woman? What is the basis? For so many reasons, a man needs a woman by his side. He wants a woman by his side. But he does not know what the hell is happening with her. He's just not able to figure out what the hell is happening with her. So if something is constantly next to you and you do not know what the hell is happening, the best thing is to hold it down. That's exactly what he did. If you compare a man and a woman in body, in mind and in emotion, a woman is a little subtler being than man. In body, mind and emotion. Anything that is subtler than yourself you cannot understand. You can experience, but you cannot understand. If there is something sitting next to you all the time and you cannot understand, it creates a little bit of not comfortable. Best thing is to put it down. That's exactly what happened. One of our meditators exclaimed, after all this inner engineering, now I'm able to understand what's my life, but I'm unable to understand what's my wife. You cannot understand. If you go by the Christian philosophy, God created man first, then much later He created a woman. So she is a more recent model. Improved, you know. Anyway, let's get back to the story. Shankaran Pillai went home. The wife's rules at home are 8 o'clock he must be home. But today he left the bar at 8. He's little drunk. slowly walked home. It's late. The wife is sitting on the main threshold of the house with a roller pin in her hands. You still use it? Shankaran Pillai walked towards her. He is a frail, agile man. Very meekly he came towards her. She looked at him and glared, "You fool, once again drinking? You come, I'll show you." The roller pin. He came towards her and suddenly leapt over her and ran into the house. She got up and lumbered after him. He made her run everywhere in the house because he has an assurance that she can never catch him. He made her run all over the place. After he had enough fun, he ran into the bedroom, went under the cot. There he is lying down very comfortably. The wife rushed into the bedroom. She cannot go under the cot because she's a big woman. She screamed, "You coward, what are you doing under the cot? Are you a man or a mouse? Come out!" Shankaran Pillai said, "I am the man in this house. I have the freedom to lie down wherever I want." Right now, that's the only place he can be. But that he claims is his freedom. This is how your freedom is. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, that's the only way you can be. But you claim this is my freedom. If you could be in 100 different ways, and right now you choose to be this way, that's freedom, isn't it? For example, in the morning, you sneaked into the restaurant and you're drinking coffee. One of these volunteers who are enthusiastic about everything. They came and said, no coffee, no coffee, no coffee. What nonsense! Don't I have freedom to drink one cup of coffee in this damn place? Coffee is not about freedom. There is a huge compulsiveness with coffee. There is a huge bondage with coffee. But you claim that's your freedom, isn't it? I will do what I like to do. You doing what you like to do is not freedom. You are capable of doing whatever is needed joyfully, that's freedom, isn't it? Whatever is needed right now, I can joyfully do it. This is freedom. I will do only what I like. This is not freedom. This is a horrible bondage. Your likes and dislikes are the basis of your bondage, isn't it so? Now, there is no such thing as freedom, because the very way you think, the very way you feel, the very way you understand life, the very way you perceive life, right now is hugely conditioned by your past experience of life. From the day you were born, what kind of parents, what kind of family, what kind of culture, what kind of religious background, what kind of educational background, what kind of social and other kinds of impacts on you. Everything that you did and did not do till this moment, from the time that you were born, is it not determining who you are right now? The very way you think, feel, understand, perceive and experience your life is determined by all this past input. So your mind is deeply, deeply, deeply conditioned by the past activity. This conditioning of the mind, traditionally we call this karma. Karma means action. Whose action? My action. These are all the things that I did, knowingly or unknowingly, in body, in mind, in emotion, in energy. These are all the things that I did. A few of them consciously, most of it unconsciously. The residual impact of all this activity that I have performed is right now ruling the very way I think, feel, understand, perceive and experience my life. So that is my karma. So this is how I am. Your karma is deciding everything about you or no? So how do I become free from this karmic grip? First of all, what is the mechanics of creating karma? Let's look at that. There are 4 parts to your mind. These 4 parts are Vijnana, Sanya, Vedana and Sankhara. What this means is cognition, recognition, sensation and reaction. These are the 4 parts of your mind. A sound came to your ears and entered the first part of your mind. The first part of the mind cognizes, Vijnana cognizes, this is a sound, this is not a smell, this is not a taste, this is not a physical sensation, this is a sound. The second part of the mind, Sanya, recognizes, oh, this is this person's voice, this is an automobile, this is a bird chirping, this is a dog barking. Like this it recognizes. How does it recognize? There's a whole vast library of sounds inside. Everything that you have heard in your wakefulness and in your dream, in your wakefulness and in your sleep, everything that has come in touch with your hearing mechanism is recorded. There is enough experimentation today to prove to you, if you're fast asleep, if I come and speak to you in a language that you do not know, you are fast asleep. But this is recorded in your system. There are ways to pull it out. After 25 years, I can make you repeat what I spoke in a language that you do not know, something that you perceived when you were fast asleep. Because nothing goes unrecorded. Every sensation, every smell, every taste, every touch, every sound, every visual impact is all recorded. So, you go to this vast library and come back and say, this is this person's voice, this is a dog, this is a bird, this is an automobile. Now you're sitting here, suddenly a new sound happened, a sound that you have never heard before happened right now. What happens to you? Confusion. Because it is completely new. 10 days later, you were walking on the street, once again you heard the sound. Now immediately you recognize, oh, this is inner engineering sound. If you have to recognize, you need a previous imprint. Otherwise you cannot recognize. You can cognize, but you cannot recognize. So Vijnana cognizes, Sanya recognizes. How you recognize simply depends on how you have recorded it in the past. Do you listen to heavy metal music? So right now if you play heavy metal music, this is a music that you can play only at full volume. It doesn't work, anything less than that it doesn't work. So if you play heavy metal music, there are a few people here who will become ecstatic. The rest will have a nervous breakdown. Same sound. In one person, it becomes such sweet sensation. In another person, it's horrible. So it's not the sound which is doing this to you, it is the way you recognize it. If you recognize it as music, it creates pleasant sensations for you. If you recognize it as noise, it creates unpleasant sensations for you. So how you recognize it depends upon your past imprint, and that's your karma. Something is sweet, this is your karma. Something seems beautiful, this is your karma. Something is bitter, this is your karma. Something seems ugly, this is your karma. So, why we are saying it's your karma is, the very way you experience everything is your making. You are making up your experience every moment of your life. Right now you are making it up in a compulsive way, so it looks like it's happening to you. If you become little more conscious of this process, you can make it happen any way you want it. So you are the maker of your experience. And that is why we say, today sun came up in a glorious way, but we see somebody is going about with a depressed face. Flowers are blossoming too. Though everything in the cosmic scape is going absolutely well, but this man is going around with a depressed face. We say it's his karma. That means it is his making. Nothing has gone wrong in the cosmos. Everything is fine. His misery is his making. His joy is his making. His agony is his making. His ecstasy is his making. Because essentially, your experience of life is 100% you are doing. So, cognition, recognition. Recognition, not the way it is. You recognize it as your past imprint is. So whatever is your past karma, that is the way you recognize it. Accordingly, if you recognize something as music, the third dimension of your mind, which is Vedana, creates a sensation. If you recognize it as music, it creates a sweet sensation. If you recognize the same sound as noise, it creates an unpleasant sensation. These three aspects of the mind are automatic. It happens in a split second. The fourth part of the mind is very important because it's the reaction part and it's in your hands. A pleasant sensation arose within you. You said, "Oh, I love it." Then your Sankara says, "Oh, he loves it. Store it in the love bag." Stored in your love bag forever. An unpleasant sensation came in you. You say, "I hate it." Sankara says, "Oh, he hates it. Store it in the hate bag, stored forever." If you're in love and hate, craving and aversion, wanting and not wanting, your karma is growing. The stronger your likes and dislikes, the stronger and more painful your karma becomes. Have you noticed this? If you have strong sense of like and dislike, your suffering is also intense, isn't it? Because the more you are trapped in this like and dislike, wanting and not wanting, craving and aversion, the karma is growing at a rapid pace. Patterns of bondage are being built within you. Now a sensation comes. You're equanimous You simply experience the sensation for what it is. You don't like it, you don't dislike it. Simply experience it. Because if you like it, you will distort it. If you dislike it, you will distort it. You simply experience it. Now, all the karma attached to that type of sensation in the past will begin to crumble within you. So if you maintain this equanimous mind, then karma will begin to collapse. When will your mind be equanimous? When you're accepting what is there right now, your mind is equanimous, isn't it? You're neither liking it nor disliking it, experiencing everything the way it is. You told me that you have come here to experience life, not to distort life, not to avoid life, not to dodge life, but to experience life. If you have to experience life, you must be in an equanimous mind. Only then you experience everything just the way it is. You have a huge variety of taste going within you all the time, but you are not liking it or disliking it. You're just enjoying the different flavors and auras of life. That's why you're here. Is that so? You're here to imbibe and experience as much life as possible before you fall dead? Yes or no? No, I like it. I like only this. Oh, finished you are. So, if you are in liking and disliking, craving and aversion, karma vriddhi is happening. Karma is growing at a tremendous pace. Patterns of bondage are being created. If you are in a state of acceptance, karma nashana is happening, karma is just collapsing. You can see this very clearly. How many of you today morning happened to wake up? You were awake before the first drum. Look at this. How many of you, without making a conscious effort towards this, you seem to be eating much less than usual? See, these are all simple physical karmas, okay? Every day I am getting up at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow, somebody says, why don't you get up at 6:45? Every day I get up only at 7. That's all right, why don't you get up at 6:45 tomorrow? 15 minutes of sleep is not going to make that much of a difference. It is just that it is the old karma. 7 o'clock is my karma, that's all. 6:45, not possible. Now on a certain day, as you become more and more aware, you will see, when your body is rested, you wake up. It may be 2 o'clock, it may be 4 o'clock, it may be 7 o'clock, it may be 8 o'clock. What o'clock is not the problem. You didn't go to bed to get up at a certain time. You went to bed to have your body fully rested, isn't it? When your body is well rested, you must come up awake. What time it is, what does it matter? But no, my karma is 7 o'clock. That's compulsive bondage. You may be trying to control your eating habits in so many ways, but if you stop this hand will eat it up. If you try to forcefully do something, something else will happen. As you accept, you move into higher and higher levels of freedom. As you resist, you're digging your own grave all the time. Karma means action. Whose action? My action. Whose responsibility? My responsibility. Why from day one we've been going on responsibility, responsibility, responsibility. Oh, Sadhguru, I'm responsible, please leave me alone. After all this grinding responsibility, you still do not know what it means. What I mean by you being responsible is, I am telling you, you're responsible even for those things which happened before you were born. Oh. Till now we were with you. Now this is crossing limits of decency. What is this? I am responsible for things that happened before I was born? What kind of nonsense is this? And let us look at it this way. My grandfather had given $25 million to your grandfather as loan. This is a fact. And I found today my grandfather's old diary where he has clearly written that he gave $25 million to your grandfather on this particular day. And the whole world knows within 3 days my grandfather passed away. So in 3 days' time the money couldn't have come back. Now I have proof. I come to you and say, see, my grandfather had given $25 million to your grandfather. This is before you were born, before your father was born. But I have proof. But now you know, we have become friends. So I will waive the interest. Just the principal amount. Please give it back to me. What will you say? What? What nonsense! Something that happened before I was born, am I responsible for this nonsense? You go and ask my grandfather. First thing is you want to dispatch me to that place where your grandfather is. Now this whole property is my property, I am enjoying it. Just today morning, you found some old papers in your house which clearly says that actually this property belongs to your grandfather. What will you do? Already found your lawyer, haven't you? If your grandfather made property or wealth before you were born, will you take responsibility to get it and enjoy it? If he has taken loan, of course you are not responsible. This is an ancient game. Heads I win, tails you lose. This is an ancient game. If there is something to get, you are taking responsibility for things that happened before you were born, isn't it? Something to give, of course I'm not responsible. What I'm telling you is, responsibility goes way beyond your present levels of understanding and perception. To what extent you can see life, to that extent you see I'm responsible, then you will start moving towards liberation. If you try to pass it to somebody, you will start moving towards entanglement. Right now, I was walking on the street. This Ramesh stepped on my foot and my leg broke. I am in pain. I am in a lot of pain. And I think this Ramesh is responsible for my pain. Oh, my parents taught me all kinds of morals. My teachers tried to teach me all kinds of things. My scriptures told me many things. but now I'm in pain and I think he is responsible for this pain. I want to break both his legs. I may not do it, but I have the emotion. Yes? Doesn't matter how much morality they taught me. Now I'm in extreme pain and I think he is responsible for my pain. If not two, at least one. Now the moment I think he is responsible, I'm going to go after his legs. I will not go where I want to go. I will go wherever his damn legs go. If I see, oh, my leg broke. There are 14 billion legs on this planet. Of all these legs, my leg broke. This is my karma. I do not know. Right now I'm not able to figure out what caused this. But if my leg has broken, this is my karma. If I see this, I am only concerned about fixing my leg and going where I want to go. If I think he is responsible, I will not go where I want to go. I will go wherever his legs go. If I see I am responsible, I will go where I want to go. Which is a more intelligent way to exist? Karma is not fatalism. Karma means to see that my life is my doing, 100%. My life is 100% my doing. If you see this, you will create your life the way you want. Otherwise, you'll spend the rest of your life disliking this one, hating that one, complaining about this one. Your whole life will go like this. Feeling helpless, feeling cornered, because I'm like this because my parents did not give me good genes. If you got this much brains to think all this, you should be thinking something else, isn't it? Yes? If you got this much brains to think that your father did not give you good genes, oh, you got enough brains to live well, don't you? No? So, karma is not fatalism. Karma is completely taking charge of your life, becoming a master of your own destiny, taking your life where you want to take it, not allowing it to happen accidentally. That's what karma means.
Each one of us has desires, our very own list of dreams and longings. Creation may have its own blueprint for us, but our personal desires cannot be easily wished away. They may be extravagant or mundane, ambitious or trivial. They may be inconvenient, they may be too personal to share, but they are ours, and for us, they are real, they are precious, they are urgent and deeply significant. Here is a rare offering from Sadhguru, a mystic who embodies the wisdom and clarity of profound realization. It is an offering that enables each one of us to become our own alchemist, that empowers us to transform long-cherished desires into reality. Sadhguru offers this with the intention that once these desires are fulfilled, we will turn towards the larger goal of our ultimate well-being. Chit Shakti meditation for love and relationships.
Chit Shakti, be the maker of your own destiny. As humans, all that we have created is just a manifestation of our minds.
So the most important part of creating what you want is to first manifest it within the mindscape. What is powerfully established in the mindscape is bound to find manifestation in actuality. Chit Shakti meditations are tools to create what you desire in the mindscape and in turn in reality, a way of creating and manifesting what you really care for in your life. May you know the power of being the master of your own destiny.